All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live here on Knicks Media. Welcome on in, everybody. We got a jam-packed show for you because there's a lot of news regarding these New York Knicks with this head coaching search. All right, we had a big report over the weekend that we need to talk about with the potential trade that the New York Knicks can target a young player that's not named Giannis Antetokounmpo or Kevin Durant, two older guys, specifically Kevin Durant. And, of course, the giant question mark around the head coaching search. There's a report that says something along the lines of Jason Kidd maybe not officially out of the race for the New York Knicks just yet, just because the Dallas Mavericks vetoed him. So there's a lot that we're going to have to get into. Leon Rose and company has been at work trying to figure out who is going to be the next Knicks head coach. I do think it's going to take some time for the Knicks to figure out who it's going to be. So welcome on in, everybody. Make sure you guys hit the like button and support the channel right here on Knicks Media. Super excited to talk some Knicks ball with you all. Now let's get straight into business. We got to talk about Jason Kidd up first, folks, because Jason Kidd, in my opinion, is the best potential candidate for the New York Knicks still to this day. Now, some people will be like, well, Richie, the Knicks requested to interview him, and the Dallas Mavericks said, no, we are not going to talk. You're not going to let you talk to our guy, right? Well, according to the latest reports, right, there's some people saying that despite the Dallas Mavericks denying the Knicks' request to interview Jason Kidd, the door isn't completely closed. NBA insider Ian Begley reported that Jason Kidd could still be in play if the Mavericks consider a trade, though Dallas remains firm for now. Kidd's, of course, familiarity with the New York Knicks and his role developing stars like Giannis is appealing. So this is interesting. I did say that when the Dallas Mavericks did give the Knicks a firm no, I was like, okay, that's expected. But the only way that this happens here with Jason Kidd coming to the New York Knicks is if Jason Kidd himself wants it to happen, because I'm here to tell you guys, if the Mavericks say no, that's their stance. We haven't heard from Jason Kidd yet. Hey, maybe Jason Kidd's like, I have no interest in the Knicks. I want to stay here with Dallas and Coach Cooper Flag and Kyrie and Anthony Davis. Then there you have it. He's removed from a candidate. But I think this report coming out here from Ian Begley confirms that Jason Kidd is interested, in my opinion. That's how I'm reading between the lines. That's how I'm looking at this. Because if Jason Kidd was not interested, this report would not be there. Because the Dallas Mavericks, they don't want to they don't want to get rid of their coach. They love Jason Kidd. But if Jason Kidd's like, actually, that Knicks job is a little bit more appealing. And that's what Leon Rose is hoping for. Leon Rose is hoping that he can lure away one of these coaches from one of these teams that he's requesting the interview. So there's obviously other candidates that we're going to talk about in this show. That's not Jason Kidd. But this is the latest news on Jason Kidd, the update regarding him in particular, because I find it very interesting that the door is still a little bit open. And if that door is open, that's the guy the Knicks should go after. Somebody that is experienced in this league, coaching multiple teams, who's still relatively young, proved that he can coach a team to the NBA championship, had a great relationship with Luka and Jalen Brunson in his final year there. I love it. Has ties to the Knicks organization, was a player here, the wise veteran, the last time the Knicks were a playoff team before the Tom Thibodeau era. I think that'll be great. Now, I still think it's a pipe dream in terms of a little bit unrealistic, but I'd be all in on a Jason Kidd scenario for these New York Knicks. Now, you guys let me know your thoughts about that with Jason Kidd. And I think when you talk about Jason Kidd, you got to talk about another specific player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, because some people think that there's a connection between if the Knicks go after Giannis, if they go after Jason Kidd, rather, that means that Giannis could potentially come to the New York Knicks. I still think that's a little bit of a pipe dream. It seems like Giannis is staying put in Milwaukee. Things can change, of course. We've seen things change. But I do think that there's some real stuff going on here with Kidd and the New York Knicks. And that Leon Rose is going to do his due diligence on this, as he should. So could there be a potential Jason Kidd and Giannis Antetokounmpo pairing with the New York Knicks? You never know. Now let's get into the latest report that we had over the weekend. A specific player that is linked to the New York Knicks that I never even thought about. And I guess, sparked because of the trade that happened between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Orlando Magic, right? And that is Jaren Jackson Jr., folks. Jaren Jackson Jr. is now linked to the New York Knicks. Shout out to Clutch Points, Chris Porcianen. Reported that the Knicks have some interest. There's some people within the Knicks front office that are fans of Jaren Jackson. And the reason why this actually makes sense is he's entering the final year of his deal. He's a young player. The Memphis Grizzlies just traded away Bane to the Magic. Are they entering a rebuild? Are they entering a new era of basketball? And by the way, the only head coach that the New York Knicks are actually have on schedule to interview is Jaren Jackson's former coach, Taylor Jenkins, the former Memphis Grizzlies head coach. So I don't know. I'm reading between the lines here. I'm reading between the lines. I am reading between the lines here. Could the New York Knicks be going after Taylor Jenkins as their head coach and trading for Jaren Jackson? I love this idea of bringing in a Jaren Jackson Jr. and a Taylor Jenkins. Now, what would a trade look like for Jaren Jackson? You would probably have to trade away a guy like Mikal Bridges and some younger players. But Jaren Jackson with Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, that's a pretty good pairing right there. A young player, all-star this past season. Yes, yes, yes. And Taylor Jenkins, you can sign me up to be the Knicks head coach as well. This is probably my favorite candidate that is a former head coach that is available. That's not, a coach that we're trying to lure away from another specific squad. You talk about Taylor Jenkins, he had that Memphis Grizzlies team playing very good basketball. And for whatever reason got fired in the middle of the year when he had a really good record. Right? So I think that the Knicks going after a Taylor Jenkins and trading for Jaren Jackson Jr., why not? I can see that happening. Absolutely can see that as a possibility. We got to weigh all options for the New York Knicks because there's a lot of candidates that the Knicks are going to be interviewing, and Taylor Jenkins is the first one. And I'm reading between the lines when it comes to Taylor Jenkins and Jaren Jackson because we had a report that the Knicks are in on Jaren Jackson, and now we have a report that the Knicks are going to be interviewing and are high on Taylor Jenkins. So I'm reading between the lines. And another head coach that the Knicks are apparently interested in is Mike Brown, the former Sacramento Kings head coach. This is a guy that, I think it's possible. I definitely think the Knicks could be interviewing him, and I think they're likely to interview him, actually. But I just don't know if he's going to get the job. I think there's other guys out there that's a little bit more linked to the New York Knicks. They are probably going to be scheduled to talk with him eventually because I think that Mike Brown is somebody that the Knicks should do their due diligence on 110%, right? They have a scheduled interview lined up, actually. Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown are the only two guys that officially have an interview lined up. So they're the first two guys to interview with the New York Knicks, which I find extremely interesting, of course. Now, there's a outlier. Apparently, there's a specific coach that the Knicks requested to interview that's also not ruled out that I wanted to talk about. That apparently Leon Rose and the Knicks have some real interest, and apparently he may have some interest as well, and that's Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan, who is the Chicago Bulls head coach, right? This is a coach that apparently the Knicks are interested in, and maybe Billy Donovan himself would be interested in. He's a former Knicks player, some ties to the Knicks organization. I think that's another option. That's if he wants out of Chicago, wants to come to the Knicks, of course. He's still the Chicago Bulls head coach. But this is an interesting thing here. I think that Leon Rose and the New York Knicks are doing the due diligence on everybody. They are going to turn over every single stone. This is going to be a deep research on who is going to be the right man for this job. Because I think there's going to be a combination this offseason of obviously a head coach being hired, but a big roster move that no one sees coming. I don't see the same starting five as last year coming back. I think one of those five guys will be gone and replaced via the trade market. I really do think that this offseason is going to include the Knicks hiring a new head coach and trading for a brand new player. Now, who's that guy we're trading away? Is it Josh Hart? Is it Bridges? Is it Cat? Is it OG? Tell you right now, it's not Brunson. Is it Mitch? Is it Deuce? I don't know. But all I can tell you this is, knowing Leon Rose as well as I do and as well as we all do, we better not attach ourselves to any of these players, because Leon Rose has showed that he is not afraid to trade anybody. He's not afraid to trade anybody, okay? And I don't think anybody's untouchable on this roster besides Jalen Brunson. Now, there's also another topic that I definitely wanted to highlight with you guys that I'm hearing a lot, specifically on Sports Talk Radio, are talking about this. And it has to do with Rick Brunson, the assistant head coach, Jalen Brunson's father. Number one, the question is he going to come back as the assistant head coach? There's some people saying he could be the head coach. I don't see that, because there's some rumblings that apparently some of the players did not get along with Rick Brunson, and he was Tom Thibodeau's coaching staff, right? So this new head coach that they're going to bring in, are the Knicks going to force this new head coach to keep Rick Brunson on his staff because they want to keep Jalen Brunson happy? Or do they not even give Rick Brunson the job anymore and they say, yeah, he's not part of this coaching staff at all? So I find it's an interesting situation, because apparently there's some reports out there that Rick Brunson did not get along with some players. He's a good coach for his son, Jalen Brunson. But when it comes to being a coach for the other players, they didn't really get along with him. They didn't like his coaching style. So if the Knicks say, we're not bringing back Rick Brunson, is that going to piss Jalen off? Because Jalen loves Tom Thibodeau. They fired him, and now they're going to get rid of his dad. And we all can agree that this is Jalen Brunson's team. We want to keep the captain happy. We want to make sure Jalen Brunson, out of anybody on this roster, anybody on this team, is happy. So I don't know. That's another whole conversation of itself that I've seen a lot of Knicks fans talk about. And Leon Rose, he's got connections, man. And like, there's a photo of Leon Rose, Jalen Brunson, and Rick Brunson when he was on the Mavericks. Like, they've ran deep. And I'm excited to see who the coach is going to be that Leon Rose hires, man. I really am. I think that, he's the one that's responsible of hiring Tom Thibodeau. And I think Tom Thibodeau, if you look back at history, was a good coach. If you're looking into the history books of the New York Knicks lore, and you look at the 2020 to 2025 era of Knicks basketball, I'm going to look at that 5 years as successful. Of course, we didn't win a title. We didn't go to the finals, but that was the first time the Knicks were back to relevancy in 7 years, going to the playoffs, winning playoff series. So the Tom Thibodeau era was a success in my eyes, but now we're hopeful that it can be leveled up. Now we want to win a championship. And there's a big pressure on right now. You talk about Leon Rose hiring whatever head coach is coming in, there's going to be a large target on the back of this man, because you're telling this guy basically, who the Knicks are going to be hiring, that you got to go win a title. Otherwise, you're not good enough. Isn't that's a little scary? Just a little bit. Leon Rose is telling this head coach that they're hiring, you have to go win us a title in the next 2 to 3 years. And listen, if that's the pressure that is required to win a title, then let's do it. But he's taking a giant risk, Leon Rose, firing Thibodeau, a great coach that he feels like is not good enough to win the whole thing, but good enough to stay relevant. I think Tom Thibodeau is the perfect example of, he's good enough not to be good enough. You ever hear that saying in sports, where you're good, you're quality, but you're just not great enough to get over the hump? And that may just be who Tom Thibodeau was as a head coach. He got the Knicks as far as he could, and it phased out. And I don't think Leon Rose wanted to run it back all over again with the same potential situation of the Knicks having a great regular season with the guys burnt out in the second and third round and losing and falling short of the NBA title. It seems like he wants to go with someone that's more modern, that can keep up with the deep playoff run. I don't know. And you could argue that Leon's job is on the line, 100%. I think Leon Rose has done a great job. He's not perfect. He's made some trades that makes you want to scratch your head. I mean, trading away Obi Toppin for 2 second-round picks, and look what Obi's doing in the NBA Finals, but that's another conversation. All the trades that he's done a lot of good things and a lot of head-scratching things. So now you look at Leon Rose, and the question is, if he does not hire the right man for this job, his job is on the line himself, and he knows that. He's the president of basketball operations. He brought the Knicks back to relevancy. He hired Tom Thibodeau. Now he has to hire someone better than Thibodeau. That's a lot of pressure. He needs to hire someone that's the head coach of the New York Knicks for the next 5 seasons, that we win an NBA title in those 5 seasons. Or at least go back to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of the 5 seasons and win a title one of those 3. You know what I mean? Because I can tell you now, Jim Dolan is going to be upset with Leon. If he went out there and fired Tibbs just to hire someone that's not good enough, you know that they're collectively doing this together. And we do not want Leon Rose to get fired, folks. That's the last thing Knicks fans should want. We finally have a guy that I feel like I have trust in building a basketball team the right way. He understands what it takes to build an organization, to put the right people in charge, to build for the future, to have a long-term plan. We saw the Leon Rose 5-year plan. This is the 5th year of Leon Rose. Remember the roster he inherited compared to what the roster looks like today? It's a night and day difference. Completely different. Go look at the roster that Leon Rose inherited in 2020. Who was it? I mean, Elfrid Payton, Julius Randle, Reggie Bullock. Well, those are the guys that he brought in. Can't even remember the roster before, the season before he came in, when Steve Mills was still running the show. Oh, Courtney Lee, Tim Hardaway Jr., that's that squad. Oh, man. It was an interesting era. Leon Rose comes on in, hires Tibbs, and then goes after Jalen Brunson. The rest is history. Now fires Tibbs. Brunson's still here, the face of this squad. Now you got to go after there. So I'm holding out hope, folks, that Jason Kidd is the guy. Seeing the report that Jason Kidd is still an option, that makes me really hold on to hope, like legit hope. Because I think that if you're a Knicks fan, you should be wanting the Knicks to get Jason Kidd. There's all the reasons in the world to be excited if they can lure him away from Dallas. Now, there's going to have to be a trade involved. The Knicks would have to trade for him. And this is based off of the report from Ian Begley saying that do not rule out the Knicks and Jason Kidd just yet. The Mavericks 100% deny the Knicks. Yes. But I have a feeling Jason Kidd himself may be interested in this job. Because if Jason Kidd's interested in this job, he wants to go coach Jalen Brunson in this. Because let's not forget, this roster is really good. I think that the Knicks are an attractable destination for a head coach. You got 2 all-stars, Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, 2 very good wings in OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, a great glue player in Josh Hart, a monster off the bench in Mitchell Robinson, a quality player off the bench in Deuce McBride, and you got 4 rookies entering their second years in Tyler Kolek, Ariel Hook-Porty, Bacom Daddy that are young that you can develop for the long haul. And then you have some other roster moves to make. I like the roster the way it is, but we all know that Leon Rose, he's probably going to make an adjustment. He's going to make a trade. So I could see a coach like Jason Kidd, a coach like Billy Donovan, or maybe the Knicks make a trade for Jaren Jackson and then hire Taylor Jenkins. Who knows what the plan is? But I think that there's a lot of candidates that's being revealed, and the Knicks are getting clowned a little bit too much in the media. That, everybody's saying no, the Knicks are getting declined. Just because they get declined doesn't mean it's not still possible. So if you guys are confused a little bit and you're hearing the news that Jason Kidd's not ruled out as the Knicks head coach, because let me just say it again, the Knicks got denied from the Dallas Mavericks to speak to Jason Kidd, but it's not ruled out because there could be a world where Jason Kidd says to Dallas, hey, I want to talk to the Knicks. You denied it, but I want to talk to them because if they have a situation that I think is better for my long-term future, I want to go there. Trade me to the New York Knicks. Jason Kidd. That could happen. And based off the report of Ian Begley that just came out a day or two ago, this is legit, folks. I think that's a legit possibility. And if that's the case, bro, if I'm the Knicks, I think of a very unique presentation, something to lure Jason Kidd into the New York, because that's the guy you want. Because I remember when Jason Kidd was on the Knicks. You guys remember when he was on the Knicks? Didn't he feel like a coach like a player's coach? How old was he? He was up there in age on the Knicks, man. Jason Kidd was like upper 30s or something like that. And he was on that Knicks team that, was going to the playoffs. And they were good. And he was that wise point guard. He was that wise point guard that just felt like an extension of the coaching staff on the court. And now I really hope that they can bring him home, because he's also a former Dallas Maverick. He won a championship with the Dallas Mavericks as a player. He's just a champion, man. Kid's a great dude. And I don't want to get my hopes up. I really don't. I don't want to, expect something that's not happening. I don't want to get your guys' hopes up, but this is a legit report from Ian Begley, who obviously is plugged in, saying that Jason Kidd is not officially ruled out as a possibility, folks. And that is exciting. That's exactly what I want to hear as a Knicks fan. So you guys let me know your thoughts, of course, of the New York Knicks potentially hiring a guy like Jason Kidd. And the latest news around it all is that Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown are the guys that the Knicks are lined up to talk to this week. Taylor Jenkins is the first one. And I think that Taylor Jenkins actually, even if they don't go after Jaren Jackson Jr., like say the Grizzlies are like, yeah, we're not trading Jaren Jackson Jr. He's part of our long-term plans. They give him another option, right? PMD on Bleachers says, I think that asking for teams' permissions to speak to teams, head coaches, is a tactic to gauge interest to see which coach under contract is unhappy. Exactly. 100%. 110%. And now the Mavericks said no, but now Kidd, obviously knowing that he was requested to talk with the Knicks, could say openly, I want to talk to the Knicks, actually. So there's a lot of things. So now the Knicks are scheduled to interview Taylor Jenkins this week, Mike Brown this week. They're linked to Billy Donovan, and they're linked to Jason Kidd. Those are the four guys right now that is being talked about as the most likely candidates to be the New York Knicks head coach. I think there's a world where one of those four guys is going to be the next Knicks head coach. Billy Donovan, Taylor Jenkins, Mike Brown, and Jason Kidd. There's obviously other guys, Johnny Bryant, that needs to be talked about, Mike Malone. The Knicks requested to interview a lot of other guys, Chris Finch, Ime Udoka, which I think those two guys are a little bit more far-fetched. I think they're more happy in their roles, where Jason Kidd kind of feels like that's something that Leon Rose can pull off some magic here. You never know. You never, ever know. Right? Yeah, Kidd was 40 when he was on the Knicks as a player. That is unbelievable stuff. So, folks, thank you guys so much for tuning in to an episode of Knicks Latest, the big Knicks updates, okay? I'm really excited to see who comes out as the next Knicks head coach. You guys let me know in the comments who you think is going to be, because there's a lot of options for the New York Knicks, a lot of options, and this is an interesting offseason, and I'm really, really excited about it, folks. I'm really, really excited about it all. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Knicks Media. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. Much love to everybody. Let's go Knicks. I will see you guys in the latest, and shout out to everybody in the chat, by the way. Big shout out to Creative Lou, Nostalgic Nick, Thrillium Guns, Beautiful 7, OE. All right. I see you guys in the chat representing Keith the Change, my guy. Always Joey. Let's go, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Much love to everybody. Salute, salute, salute to Knicks Nation. Please hit that thumbs up button on your way out, everybody. Really do appreciate that, guys. Hit that like button on your way out. Your boy's out of here. Let's go, Knicks.